Srini.
విజయ్ నువ్వు వీడియో ఆన్ చేస్తే కానీ తను ఎలా స్టార్ట్ చేయొచ్చు షో.
Okay. So before we get in, I just want to ensure that you guys can hear me. So Srini, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
You can see the
Yeah,
presentation
we
as
can
well,
see the
correct?
slides as well. Yeah, indeed.
Okay. So thank you all for joining today and making some time to on a Tuesday evening to join this webinar. So I have with me Srini. Srini is a I mean, the way how I can put it is like he's one of the guys in the core implementation of Scaled Agile Framework, and I am a person from the Agile coaching perspective. So today we are going to touch base and look into how safe and the Agile coaching principles, like at a core level. We are not going to talk about the operational details, but how these two are can be combined, can be coupled for a successful agile transformation. That is what we are going to discuss on a very high level. Okay. So maybe I'll walk you through some couple of pictures and then I'll explain you like what is the content and where is this idea coming from. Most from a thought process, and mostly from a thought process. And then maybe Srini can add a couple of his experiences down from the trenches to make it more practical for you guys. So with that being said, uh, because it is related to safe and agile coaching, we will have a very quick introduction of what is safe and what is agile coaching. And it is around 8-7. And I will take somewhere around 35 minutes to 40 minutes for the presentation. And the last 10 minutes, you can ask any questions if you have. Okay. So we'll get started. So introduction to SAFE, the Scaled Agile Framework or the SAFE Academy defines Scaled Agile Framework as it's a knowledge base of proven, integrated principles, practices, and competencies for achieving business agility using lean, agile, and DevOps. So pretty much SAFE is a combination of lean, agile, and DevOps, where the competencies of these lean, agile, and DevOps are being integrated into SAFE framework from an empirical perspective. That is what the definition of SAFE is. And if you look at the history of SAFE, SAFE has evolved in the past 12 years, I would say, because the first version of SAFE came in 2011, and then it is now 2023. So we have moved from SAFE 1 to SAFE 6. And in all of this, the underlying principles are the lean product development, agile development, DevOps, and system. So if you look at the way how SAFE tries to identify the major areas of an enterprise. So SAFE has like four different configurations. One is at a portfolio level, one is at a large team level, and then the basic SAFE we call it, right, to the agile release train. And SAFE talks about some of the well-known practices of SAFE are the PI planning, the program increment planning, the agile release train, the system team, and the leadership, the lean agile leadership. And also on the top, we have a solution train. All these are like the famous concepts or the famous constructs of SAFE. Now, SAFE talks mostly about product quality, people engagement, and then program alignment. These are all the uh, fundamental value. When I say values, these are the benefits that we might get or we may get based on implementing SAFE. So what is SAFE framework? In detail, we can get into like looking at the big picture, like what are the different roles at different framework levels. These are all like pretty much available freely on the website, so we can go and check that. But my point here is that I just want to give an introduction to what is safe on a high level. Now, if you get into agile coaching, so agile coaching right now in the multiple accreditation bodies or training bodies we have Scrum Alliance, we have Scrum.org, we have IC Agile, all these are there. So out of all of this, the most prominent one is IC Agile. So I'm going to borrow that definition of Agile coaching from IC Agile. And according to IC Agile, an Agile team coach, we're not talking about an enterprise coach, but we are trying to understand what a team coach does. A team coach is a person who guides individuals and teams. So combination of both individuals and teams on how to improve their performance. And in this endeavor of improving their performance, an agile coach uses professional facilitation, professional coaching, mentoring, and teaching. There are four basic skills that a coach uses in order to improve the performance of the teams and individuals. Now, if we have to put that into a visual, then it might look like this. So we have knowledge and skill based. That means you need to have the tools and you need to have the competencies, you need to have the knowledge of a specific aspect while coaching. So they are used for facilitation and teaching. At the same time, those are on the left side. Like if I have to mark them here, so if you see here, these are the ones which are more of knowledge and skill based. And on the right hand side, you see coaching. This is professional coaching and mentoring. So professional coaching and mentoring are more on the culture and people based. So the more you'll be working with the individuals to unlock their thought process, take them through a creative journey, and how we can improve their performance and all. And at the same time, an agile coach should also have a knowledge of agile engineering principles. You should understand how mindsets and behaviors work, how to influence people, how to work with people, how to persuade people, how to maintain that relation. And also, there should be a blend of technical mastery, business mastery, and transformation mastery. When we say blend, we might need to have that. We always use this T-shaped skills word. So we should be either completely technically bound, or we should have a lot of business knowledge, or we should be more into organizational change, organizational behavior, transformation, so that kind of process. So the reason why we need to have a blend of all of this is, if I have to draw a picture of this, so technically, whenever there is a problem statement or whenever there is a situation, whenever there is a tactical scenario where an agile coach has to jump in and roll up his sleeves and work on with the for the organization, for the performance associated with it, there are two variables all the time. The two variables are, should we look for the growth of the individual, growth of the team, or should we look for the results for the team? So when there is a task coming up, an agile coach, should he use his skills to deliver the result, or should he use his skills to make the client or to make the team or individual grow in his competency or to grow in his skill or whatever that is? So looking at these two growth and result variables, an agile coach playground is this. So the place where an agile coach works most is this. So how do we balance these two? So the basic thing, the first thing that we always go with is observation. So an agile coach observes the things first. So as a reflective observer, when we are just trying to articulate what we are seeing and what we are sharing with the teams, we're just trying to reflect on what the team is doing. We're just asking them, hey, what are you doing? What do you think you're doing? This kind of questions. And more on to build on this observation, if I want my team to learn more, then I might go with a facilitation stance. If I want to further grow my team in their thought process, I'll go with a visionary stance. So, hey, you're doing this now. Let's say after 4 years, where would you see yourself? So that would be a question where we are trying to put the team into a kind of looking into the future and how the team can deliver. At the same time, now if we want the results, like, hey, my team can do it, but I just want to push them or nudge them a little bit towards delivering the results. So I can play the role of a advisor. If my team is very naive and my team is just starting and I have the, or as a coach, I have the responsibility to ensure that my team is delivering, then I might wear the role of a consultant where I'm teaching everything, I'm telling everything, and then the team is just following. So in between these, there are four other skills. So one is I can be a teacher where I'm providing some skills which are useful for the results. So it's like somewhere in between. Or else I can be a mentor where I'm guiding the individual towards a successful result. On top of this, there are two more, which is a professional coaching where the growth of the client is more and the results are appropriate. And the last one that we do is partnering with the client. So these are the 9 different stances a coach will always go with. So where there is a growth, where there is a result, and in between this growth and result, how does an agile coach play with all these roles? So it's like uh, in India we play a lot of cricket, and taking from a cricket example, based on the delivery, the batsman chooses a different stance on how to maximize the delivery. So sometimes he might play a pull, sometimes he might play a hook, sometimes he might play a straight drive, cover drive. So these are all the different stances that are or shots available with the batsman, and based on the delivery, he wants to use it. In the same way, when a coach is in a tactical scenario, he uses the observer role, the advisor, the consultant, the facilitator, teacher, mentor, or visionary, or a professional coach, and a partner role in such a way that he can maximize both the growth and result. This is about coaching. Now, as an individual, or when we are trying to work with an individual, the focus is more on how is individual performance. But when we are working with a team, we need to look at the collective performance of all the individuals. Now, when we want to scale Agile to an enterprise level, we are trying to work with teams of teams. So it's not only a single individual, not a collection of individuals, but a collection of individuals where we need to work with them. So that puts us into the zone of what are the challenges that we see in scaling. So I always used to give this example of we are always agile. We are always agile in nature. So one uh, common example I give in my trainings is, let's say this is holiday season and we want to buy some, or we want to get into buying some things. We went shopping and let's say I'm in a mall and I bought some 10 items, which are pretty much the standard items for that particular festival. And I went to, I'm in the mall, and let's say Srini calls me, says that, hey Vijay, where are you? I'm in the mall. So if he's waiting at my home saying that, hey Vijay, come down and then we both will go for another client session. So come fast. So I want to get out of the mall. So I come to the billing desk, and let's say there are 2 queues. There is one queue here and there is one more queue here. And in these 2 queues, let's say there are 20 people here. And let's say let's make it a little bit big. And in this queue, let's say 10 people. So obviously, in order to get out of the billing counter fast, it's like engraved in my brain because of my practice, because of my experience and all. So it is a very a normal process that we always go and stand in the line where there are 10 people. So I also stood in the 10 people line. I got out faster. I went out. I met Srini. Srini liked the all 10 items that I bought, and he said, Vijay, let me also buy. So we both came to the mall again. We bought the 10 items. And this time when we went back to the queue, let's say this queue also has 20 people. So we have like what, 20 people in the queue. So which queue do we stand? Let's say I looked at the person who is billing, and this time one of the guys' barcode gun is busted. Let's say that. So one guy is using a barcode gun. So there is a barcode gun that he's using. And the other guy is just like looking at the barcode and then typing the barcode manually in the system. So where do we stand? Obviously, we know that a barcode gun is a faster process. So I'm going to stand in the queue of 20 people with the barcode gun. These are the things that we do normally. So we don't even think about agile. We don't even think about, hey, is there any principle like this? Or I need to apply lean agile principle to cut down the waiting time, to cut down the waste. We don't think that. It just happens like that. Why? Because we have experience over that. Now, if I have to tie this back to an agile principle, tie this back to a safe principle and safe value or something, there is a lean agile principle called, or there is a uh, lean principle called Little's Law. So Little's Law, what it says is that the average wait time is proportional to, or inversely proportional or proportional. Let's not go into that mathematics, but an average wait time is dependent on the length of the queue, the number of people that are there in the queue, and the processing speed. So what we are doing without even thought process, without even thinking, there is a lean agile principle or a lean principle as well. So my point here is that we individuals are always very much agile oriented. We always want to make things faster. We always want to deliver value faster, value more, all that. Now the problem comes when this particular individual's value is different, and then I have a team of people who are working within that team. There are multiple individuals who are looking for their values, and then I have like multiple teams here which are all working with their own set of values, with their own set of like thought process, and how do we combine all of them? That is the problem that brings us into all the challenges that we have with scaling. So now let's see what challenges we have with scaling. Okay, so let me take off this. Okay, now when we are working in an enterprise, the management always thinks that, oh, there are no problems at my team level, and management always knows only 4% of the problems. When I say 4%, don't take them like what, something written on a rock, but this is an average statistic that the management knows only 4% of the problem, whereas the more you go down the hierarchy, people at the ground level, they know lot many problems. So what is that an agile coach can do? An agile coach's job is more of how this bridge can be, how this gap can be bridged. Because agile coaches don't make decisions. Agile coaches don't implement anything. When I say implement anything, they implement frameworks and all, but they are not the decision makers. They only want to bring transparency. They only want to bring collaboration. They want to ensure that people who are supposed to do, like people who are accountable, we want to ensure that their accountability is done. Like they have to do what they need to do. So if we are looking at an organization, people at the very top, they are responsible for the transformation of the organization. But if they know only 4% of the challenges, then how is that they are positioned to take necessary steps to move towards the successful transformation? So first thing that an agile coach have to look at is transformational stuff. And this is what SAFe talks about at their portfolio level. So themes, budgets, these are all the ones that we, epics, implement the enablers, these are all the ones that we talk at a transformational level. And the second one that we want to address in an agile coaching perspective is the transactional ones. So the transactional ones are more at the operational level. So these are mostly the systems and that kind of stuff. And then as an agile coach, you have another aspect, which is individual and personal. So if you look at these three, the transformational, the transactional, and the individual and the personal factors, there is a survey done by Scrum Alliance. I think it is the 20th annual report of Agile Coaching. And in that, if you look at the responses given by 2,000 coaching professionals, the statistics look like this. So 39% of them felt that culture and mindset of an organization are the biggest challenge for the transformation. 28% felt that organizational structure does not suit agile. That means there is a lot of hierarchy. There are a lot of hoops that the employees have to jump through in order to get things done. 18% resistance from management leadership. So this you can also attribute to Larman's laws of organizational behavior. There is a gentleman called Craig Larman. He is from large scale Scrum. So the resistance from the management you can see there as well. And 11% felt that there was not enough time allowed for agile transformation. And 4% said there is no collaboration because agile is a team sport. We all have to be in person. We have to work together, but we are now not in the office, this kind of stuff. But if you see predominantly these two, culture, mindset, and organizational structure. So this is where SAFe or Scaled Agile Framework brings in something which is more structure. So there are individuals and organizations and coaches who have different reservations about it. But what we all agile enthusiasts, what we say is that no framework is bad, no framework is good. Because as we all say that not one size fits all. So we can't just say that SAFe is good or SAFe is bad, or there is one specific framework that will apply for every organization that we can see. Because if you see the way how people attribute failure to agile is, they say that so and so organization failed. No. The way how they say like agile failed in retail industry, agile failed in some transport system, or agile failed in aviation. So the sentence itself starts with agile failed in so and so. Okay. However, the way how we should see, because it is not agile that has failed, rather the organization has failed in adopting an agile framework or an agile cultural mindset or an agile change. We should see that. So the fundamental thing that we always start wrong when we are trying to move through an agile transformation is we see that agile transformations are more like a framework transformation. So I implemented framework and then my organization will change, or I want to go with some agile philosophy or agile principle, or let's say not agile principle, agile philosophy, or I want to go with a specific framework so that everybody, my competitor, is going on. So as long as we see that agile transformation is a framework related transformation, that is where all the problems will come. Because if you see, the very first one says it is not the framework that is bringing you down, it is the culture, mindset, it is the structure of the organization that is bringing you down. So if you see the statistics here, nobody said that the framework is a problem. So my point here is that how do we choose which framework is more aligned to our scaling agile? Right now in the market, we have like what? Scaled Agile Framework, we have less, we have disciplined agile, and then we also have Scrum at Scale. Spotify is there, but let's not consider Spotify as a framework because it is just in one organization. So these are all the frameworks that we have. But predominantly, if you see out of all of these four frameworks, SAFe has the bigger market share. When I say market share, it's not that everybody is leaning towards SAFe, but the way how SAFe puts is SAFe has a different structure, SAFe has a different flow, SAFe has like transparency across all the layers. That is what is more that we are trying to bridge here. What is that we are trying to do? Because of this iceberg of ignorance, only 4% of the people see what is going on or what are the problems that they see. But the ground level people, they have a lot of problems. So how do we build this gap? We build this gap by bringing transparency from top to bottom. So one of the aspects that you see in SAFe is that you have multiple levels of Kanbans where how the work is coming from top to bottom, that is clearly visible. At the same time, you have multiple layers like how you can provide the feedback back to the leaders. So you have a system demo, you have a solution demo where whatever you are facing, that will go back. You can bubble it back. Okay? You can bubble it up, not back. You can bubble it up. So how do we approach the scaling? So let's see that. Okay. So when we are trying to coach an organization, earlier I was saying we have a transformational. So let's say we have a transformational responsibility. Okay. And then we have a transactional, which is operational responsibility. People think only till here. Okay, because hey, I have my strategy in place, I have my operational level stuff is sorted out, then I'm good. But most people forget that hey, I have individuals and their needs, which are also a key factor in the transformation. Let's see how we can put this. So, as an agile coach, when we get into an organization, the first thing that we need to understand is, does the transformation have a mission and a strategy? How is the leadership aligned with that mission and strategy? And how is the organizational culture placed with respect to the cultural behaviors that are expected from an agile organization? So there is this wonderful aspect of different cultures in organization. We have like there is a different that there's a wonderful book by this gentleman called Fred Lalo, Reinventing Organization. So in that he talks about like how the culture of an organization, what are the different cultures of an organization, where it starts from a complete command and control where the organization fears about their leaders to a extreme end of where the company doesn't have any hierarchy, where everybody is a proponent of like how the value can be delivered in the organization, so how everybody is a part of decision making. There is a comparison of like how command and control works and how a complete freedom to the employees works. So my point here is that when we are trying to go with an organizational transformation, the first thing that we need to understand is how these three are aligned with the organizational objective. And then comes the structure, like what kind of organizational structure we need to follow, like what is the hierarchy? Do we need to have multiple layers of hierarchy, or do we need to have a flat organization? And then management practices. This management practices is the one which is a very significant one, because most organizations think that if I change the management practice, everything else will fall into place. Here we are not talking about one single team, we are talking about multiple teams. So the one advantage what I want to link here back with SAFe is that SAFe doesn't only come as it's not only providing something as a specific framework, but it also tries to address all these three. So what is that they have to change, and how leadership has to change, and then how the organizational culture has to be addressed, and then what structure you need to have, because we have multiple layers. So what kind of roles and responsibilities there? Who has to do what? What are their roles and responsibilities? R and R. All of that is defined. And then when we are trying to go with the systems, like what systems are you have, like what value stream analysis, we have DevOps, all these things will also come in there. And then when we go down a little bit, then we have our individual tasks, skills that are needed, the motivational levels, and then the individual values and needs. So as an agile coach, we can set this up, we can define this, but this is where we have to be working all through. So how individuals are positioned to deliver a specific job. Remember the growth and the result thing that I said? Okay. So how individuals do they have their specific needs? I mean, do they have the skills? Do they know what tasks they need to do? And in order to perform the task, do they have the necessary skill? So that is where an agile coach's preliminary job, I mean, the fundamental job of a teacher comes into picture. So how an agile coach can position himself to teach the necessary skill that is needed to deliver a task. And then this is the part where it is motivation. So for the motivation of the individuals, I always suggest that, hey, you bring in, you join your hands with the people manager and then try to see how they can influence the individual to get motivated. But also if you go with SAFe, in SAFe, they talk about there are three things that can motivate an individual. They are like autonomy, purpose, and mastery. So these are the three things where an individual can be intrinsically motivated. That is what SAFe talks about. But if you also look at from a coaching standpoint, a coach's perspective, motivation can also come from when you're trying to professionally coach them and also try to mentor them. So mentoring and professional coaching will also help an individual to position what they want to move and then how they want to grow their career or where they want to go in their career, what they want to do. So when the motivational aspects of an individual are aligned with the organizational objectives, that is where people are like happy to go and work with. So as an agile coach, we need to understand how we can align those two. And then the last one is individual needs and values. So this is a place where we have to go with that partnering mindset and coaching mindset. When I say partnering mindset and coaching mindset, my objective is more towards, let's say I give $1 million to my 7-year-old kid. I always used to ask him, hey, what would you do if you have like $1 million? He used to say, Daddy, I'll buy a Lamborghini. If you give $1 million to a 18-year-old, 20-year-old person, he or she might go on a vacation. They want to go for a world tour. I want to enjoy. I want to see everything. You give it to a 40, 45-year-old guy. He might invest it somewhere, save it for the future, where he will not be working. He wants to enjoy his retirement. You give it to an 80-year-old guy. He would say, what would I do with money? I don't need money. So the same $1 million, if you look at it from a financial perspective, it is $1 million all the time. But the way how an individual sees the value of it is entirely different. So an agile coach's job is mostly to understand what is that a person values. So how do we know that? So we have personal values. We need to understand like there is a test that we can take, and we can also have a conversation with them to make them think through, make them explore what is that they actually value. Okay, it is not about money all the time. It is not about a designation all the time. It is not about the work all the time. But they might have deep in their thoughts, hey, this is how I link all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that I do in my life to attain a bigger value or to attain a bigger need of it. So as an agile coach, we need to work these three. Like if you see these three, that how the skills, the tasks, the motivation, and then individual values and needs are aligned. So linking this back to Scaled Agile Framework. In Scaled Agile Framework, I mean, we can see that these three aspects, these three, and the skills, and this. These are all like completely linked to one and each other. So how you can work with at a team level, individual level, how you motivate them, how as a leader, how as a coach. I mean, they don't specifically say you're a coach, you're an agile coach and all, but as a leader, as an SPC, as a scrum master, as a Kanban lead, or as a team coach, how do you work with motivational factors of individuals? How do you address the skills, what skills you need to have? And then what is that you need to do with the structure, management practice systems? These are all pretty much aligned, pretty much defined in SAFe. Now, if I have to become an agile coach in an organization where there is only SAFe or which are like trying to implement SAFe, then what do I need to do? So the best way, what I always suggest to my Scrum Masters or to my team members is that when people don't have skill, the first thing that we need to do is we need to impart the skill. So we need to teach them the skill. That is where we need to learn the skill. Let's say I want to be an agile coach and I want to go in as an agile coach in a SAFe organization. So if I don't know what is SAFe, the first thing that we need to do is we need to learn SAFe. That is the first thing. Then once we have the skill, let's say skill is not a problem, then the proficiency is the next level. So I know SAFe, but can I implement SAFe in the right way? So when the proficiency is a challenge, then we need to go with the mentoring. So you need to find someone who is more proficient in SAFe, or keep working in your scaled agile environment and then try to hire a mentor or try to go to a person who is like more involved in Scaled Agile Framework and then seek guidance from him time to time. And when skill is not a problem, proficiency is not a problem. You are skilled and you are proficient enough in the organization with the framework. That means you have learned SAFe, you worked with a mentor for so long, or you have a mentor who is working with you and then you think, hey, I'm good at it. Then that is the place where the professional coaching helps. So you need to have a professional coach to see, hey, I have all the skills required, I have all the proficiency required, but still I'm not able to be productive. That is where professional coaching will help. Okay. So with that, I think I have taken 30 minutes around for presenting this. So I would also give it back to Srini. I know I'm supposed to give him back. I mean, and I need to bring him into the mix at regular intervals. But what I thought is I'll just complete the flow, and then maybe I would request Srini to share a couple of instances, like how he has faced and how these aspects of coaching strategies or the aspects of SAFe, I mean, teaching, mentoring, how they helped him in achieving successful transformation with SAFe. So, Srini, back to you. If you can share a couple of examples from your experience, that would be great for us.
Hey, thanks, Vijay. That was very nice talk. That's why didn't interrupt you. It was going in a good flow with a lot of content in it. So it happened. I mean, now it's as end of the year, right? I do see quite a lot of performance reviews happening across the organizations, right? So um, it was a natural instinct that I had to explain the power of feedback. Let's say, for example. So I was having a discussion with line managers about the people who are working in the teams, but they're not day to day. They're not even closely working with them. End of the year, they do, collect the feedback from different sources, and then they just make a performance review. So then I saw the opportunity that I could help the line managers. Were introducing the frequent feedback mechanism, right? So, and why is it important as such that the feedback has to be in a regular interval session? So the coaching, the point is that the coaching is not limited to one specific area or not limited to the framework. So the coaching can be at any different function, and not necessarily to be the functional or technical part, but it could be also the non-technical aspects areas as well. The second example I want to tell. So there was a situation where I was working for a large enterprise where they built quite complex systems. So the transformation has happened according to the organization, and there was a mapping of the roles between the old situation and the new situation. So the stakeholders were pretty demanding in controlling their budgeted, they call it as resources, the people, I call it that where are my people working? Basically, I want to keep a control. So when the organization is transformed into agile way of working, the first thing to have in place is the trust, and then very transparent communication. So there was no trust between the stakeholders and the team, or maybe one side on the stakeholder side. And the stakeholders started, they had a habit of managing the people who are funded by them. And then they try to do the same even after the organization have changed, but it should be more top up or bottom up approach than the top down approach, where the teams needs to be empowered, and then the backlog can come into the teams, and then team has a view on the business value of the backlog, and then they do the priority calls in line with the business demands or the objectives or the goals. However, they were managed quite directly by the stakeholders, right, who are the budget owners, and the product owner was, pretty much in a situation that okay, he is just flowing what is coming in and then dumping in the team. And then the other side, the stakeholders are directly trying to manage the team members, and then there was a chaos. And at one point of time, the whole team, half of the team, was burned out. So then I got an opportunity to step in and to assess the situation, why and what is happening. And the first thing I had to do is to bring the stakeholders, up to the speed on the way of working according to the scaled agile, because the organization was following scaled agile framework. So how does that priority call happens? What is the frequency of the momentum that the stakeholders can step in and give the feedback towards the team, and how to change the priorities when it is not going according to the plan for one program increment. So then, there were some tough decisions to be made to disconnect the stakeholders from the team. Otherwise, they were so much uh, uh, inclined to get, in control of the team, and then do change things on the daily basis. And then the team doesn't have enough maturity to tell the stakeholders, or also the product owner was not matured enough to give the feedback to the stakeholders. So there was a chaos around in three aspects, and then that was the situation. So then I had to explain, or let's say guide the stakeholders how to build their roadmap, for example. And then I had an opportunity to guide the team and the product owner, where they could set the right priorities and then communicate it in a regular intervals, right? Because we didn't have a structure in place yet. And that's how the problem was solved. That's literally also a role of agile coach, where it could be functional or non-functional, or technical or non-technical. Different scenarios will be there. The coach has to play and help and guide them in the right direction. So these are the real-time examples what I would like to share with the audience. I hope this connects with or resonate with your concepts as well, Vijay.
Thank you very much, Srini, for that. So, I mean, I think we were good with the presentation and we can move on to Q&A. So any questions, please feel free to ask me or Srini either.
I'm not checking the live. Oh, yeah. Okay. I see a comment from Roel. Give me a second, Vijay. I'm checking with the
Sure.
moderator if you have any questions.
Thank you, Srini.
I don't see any questions. I think, Vijay, we can wrap it up.
All right. So thank you all for joining today and thank you for your time. Thanks, Srini. Have a good
There is
day.
one question now. Okay, from
Okay,
Danisha.
no
What is
problem.
the
Yeah.
major difference between Agile Coach and Scrum Master?
Uh, Srini, let me ask you this before I answer this question.
Okay, go ahead.
So, are the audience, they're all from India, or do we have audience from other countries as well?
From other countries as well.
Okay. Okay. So, because normally I give a Indianized example for this, based on our education system, I always give the answer on this for this question. But let
Yeah.
me put it like generalized for everyone.
Okay.
So, in my view, there is no difference between a Scrum Master, an Agile Coach, an Enterprise Agile Coach, or a senior Scrum Master, lead Scrum Master, senior coach, junior coach. No. The reason being, okay, when we talk about ethics for a coach, the first and foremost one is continuous professional development. So we all know this, the buzzword that we all talk about, right? Like growth mindset and fixed mindset. So the moment I say, hey, I'm a Scrum Master, my mind is in a fixed mindset. The moment I say, hey, I'm an Agile Coach, that is also a fixed mindset if you see it. So the way how we can see this is a Scrum Master, an Agile Coach, an Enterprise Agile Coach, or for the matter, anyone who wants to be more agile in his career, or not in career, in the organizational transformation, they don't have a specific responsibility. Like it's not like, hey, this is the boundary line for you, or beyond this boundary, your role doesn't exist, or you don't have anything beyond this. The moment we say that, that is where all the fun is lost. So the way how we can differentiate those roles is a Scrum Master is a person who uses the same blend of like the same techniques that I said earlier: teaching, mentoring, coaching, being a reflective observer, being a visionary, partnering or coaching, advising, mentoring, consulting, all this. A Scrum Master uses the same mix of skills. An Agile Coach uses the same mix of skills. An Enterprise Agile Coach uses the same mix of skills, but to the extent that they use will be different. Now, let's say I'm an Enterprise Agile Coach. I'm just trying to come from top to bottom. Let's say I'm an Enterprise Agile Coach. Now, I might not be teaching or I might not be mentoring CEOs. No. At their place, I would be more looking at being a visionary or facilitation or partnering or coaching. So there, if I have to be an Enterprise Agile Coach, then my skills on how to work with the leaders, that should be more than like how I can work on an operational stuff. Now, let's say if I'm a Scrum Master, I should also have visionary facilitation coaching skills, but I won't be using them most of the time. Whereas my most of my roles and responsibilities will be on how to teach people Agile Scrum framework, how to mentor them, like how to make them big. Let's say there is a PO, how do I work with him to ensure that he's prioritizing the backlog? How does he vertically slide the story? These are all the things that I would mentor, that I would advise, that I would consult, that I would work as a consultant. So that would be more. So if I say what is the difference between them, there is absolutely no difference. But how would you impact the specific audience in the organization? That is where it changes the role of a person in the organization. So if you are a Scrum Master, I mean, the person who is impacting more at a team level, more at an individual or at the very ground level where people are actually doing work, that role I would say more as a Scrum Master, whose impact is more on the Scrum implementation of the organization or the team. Now, if I have to say, I'm slowly moving towards working with multiple teams, trying to bring synergies across teams and trying to identify the uh, 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 faster processing or how value can move faster through the different value streams, then I would be more like a agile coach. Now, if I'm working with the leadership, that would be an enterprise agile coach. That would be what I say. Now, if I have to remind you, if you go back and check on the Scrum guide, there are three responsibilities of a Scrum Master. One is service to the team, service to the PO, and service to the organization. Now, how do you define the service to the organization? Like if I look at it, maybe a Scrum Master, if he has the right set of skills, he can be positioning or he can be replacing the role of an enterprise agile coach as well. So there is no boundary of this is where your territory stops. So I would see the specific roles or the designations like agile coach and a Scrum Master, but I would be more focusing on the impact that I'm creating. At an impact level, that is where I see a differentiation between these roles. That's the answer, Srini. But
I
thank you
think,
for asking that wonderful question.
but it's a good question. I think well explained. Indeed, coaching is more inclusive for the Scrum Master. But what are the focus areas that could change, and there might be some areas where you do not explore. But I see it as more inclusive for the Scrum Masters.
Any other questions, Srini?
No, that's it. I think we can conclude here. Thank you, Vijay. That was
Okay.
pretty.
Thanks, Srini.
Have a nice evening, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye.